You are watching this right now, then you are probably wondering where's the countdown? Well, there's not going to be any countdown because tonight's show is a rapid show. What is going on, everybody? Michael here from Technoid, and I'm joined by the great SMT, Sneemable Tech. What's up,
Salute, sir.
man?
Salute.
So, anyway, tonight's live episode is a very quick one. We're going to do this for 30 minutes, and then you're going to go right to your show, Sneed. So, we're going to make sure we transition in and out and go. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. That's a plan.
Well, anyway, let's get to business. Now, by tonight's title of the show, we're going to address something that's been going on in the tech world since the beginning of smartphones and tech companies as a whole. This is a topic that many people are afraid to talk about. This is a topic that people don't even want to address because they're afraid of the backlash and they are afraid of the repercussions if not handled in the correct way. Well, me being a risk taker and me not really trying to create problems here. I feel it is my place to talk about it because I've seen it get to its worst, I've seen it get to its best, and I've seen it get to more and more. So I feel that the time is right, and with a man who perfectly has some great examples on his channel in terms of the fan base you can talk about, we're going to talk for the whole remainder of this show toxic fan bases. Now, let me disclaim there are going to be users I am calling out in this episode, but I am not calling you out because you're doing something wrong. And I am no way in trying to par you as somebody as a troublemaker, as an instigator, or anything. I am just referring to you as an example in a civilized discussion. And if you want to respond, you are more than within your rights. And honestly, you got every right to respond. So I'll let you respond. The only thing I ask is we keep this civil and we keep it peaceful. And again, I'm not here for drama. I'm just bringing an issue to light that many people are afraid of talking about. Comprende? Comprende.
Entiende.
All right. So let's start off with toxic fan base. So Sneed, you are on the cellular end, I'm on the tech end. We both have our similarities and differences. But I think there's one thing we can talk about, something that is very, very apparent in both of our watch bases. The level of fanboys and fangirls, a fan base for every side. Now, it's okay to be a fan. There's no problem. There's no rule that says you can't be a fan. You have every right to be a fan. You have every right to like what you like. And nobody should take that away from you. What's not okay is when you take that liking to the company and you ignore all of the faults of that company and spread a message that you know is not true, but you're blinded by how much you like them, that you're willing to make yourself look bad when you're not trying to make yourself look bad. Also, we will do shout outs in the live stream in just a second. Then you have users that like to attack others, which is the most common nowadays, where there are debates, where it gets to a point where it's not civil. Then you have people that are so hyped that they will just spam and continue to harass. And that's what I want to talk about, these target groups. So before I start talking about people and several examples, Sneed, I'm going to give you a chance to display to me what you think of fan bases and the lengths that we've seen it get to in these past few years, with the being of more people at home having more time on their hands to talk and learn. And what do you make of all this?
I think essentially what's going on with this type of situation is people start to form identities around brands, like personal connections. So, say, for example, I'm wearing this hoodie with this name brand on it. It's a hoodie. The primary function is for it to serve as clothing, an outer covering, right? It's warm. Okay. If it's anything other than that, we've lost focus on what it's for. So when people start to attach brands with their personal identity, there is something insecure about the individual. There's some disconnect, right? There's something missing from their angle, their perspective, so they're compensating. Okay, so maybe they don't have a lot of friends. Maybe they don't have a lot of good relationships. Maybe they are so obsessed about something, they feel compelled to defend it at all costs. This is who I am. This is what I relate to. This is how I perceive myself. I'm connected with this brand. The problem is when you do that, you go all in on a brand and you start fighting for it, defending it, you lose objectivity. You become a slave to that brand, whether you like to admit it or not, right?
Hmm.
Like there are people that say, "Oh, I'm objective and I can criticize," but then they don't. All they do is sit there and defend the brand. They connect with the brand. They put down other brands and nobody's paying them, right? They're not even on payroll and they're defending brands and corporations that do nothing for them outside of produce something and then they pay for it and buy it. It doesn't even make sense. So to me, psychologically, like that individual who becomes a knight, a defender, a deflector, someone who makes excuses.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think something psychologically is happening to where something about them is incomplete or they find themselves identifying so much it becomes a part of them. Strange, unusual, weird, but it kind of makes sense. It might not make sense to someone who's secure. It might not make sense to someone who is confident in in themselves, but for someone who might be kind of, lacking confidence, doesn't have much,
Hmm.
good relationships, maybe they're reaching for something to connect to and connect with.
Yeah, and there are some steps that individuals can take in regards to, making sure that they don't get baited into a debate or get baited into a response. And one of the things that I tell people, if you have an opinion, everybody's going to disagree. You're never going to please the entire world. You're never going to be able to, you're never going to be able to please the people. But I always tell everyone, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, and no matter how crazy some of these people can be, sometimes it's better off to ignore it. And that's fine. But sometimes there are people that will intentionally. Thank you for the super chat. I just saw that. Thank you so much. That is tremendous.
Big shout out to Nimmer. Thank you, man.
You did not have to do that. Thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about that. So the first thing I want to discuss, there are 3 fan bases. We're going to do this quickly. We're going to get through this so you can get to your show. And like I said, the only reason we're talking this subject tonight is because at some point, somebody has to stop and say, enough is enough. Somebody has to call it and has to be willing to take the repercussions that come with it. I'm one of those people that are willing to take that repercussion, regardless of what the outcome is. Because I like to bring people together, but not in the wrong way. Thank you for the $10 super chat,
Big Gene.
Gene.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. I'm not here to put people on blast or on notice. I ask nobody. For the people that I'm going to call on tonight, I ask you all to leave them alone. Do not harass them. Do not go at them. Don't do anything.
Let's make something clear here, Michael. It's more
Mhm.
about the phenomena than it is the individuals we're talking about
Yes,
here.
it's the phenomena, it's the things that's behind it. But these individuals bring out that persona. They bring it out and it gets to a point where it is combustible. And I'm going to talk about it now. So the first person I want to talk about, and I don't know if you've heard of this individual, David Rudock. David Rudock. Anybody doesn't know who David Rudock is, I encourage you all to please do your research before you start making assumptions. David Rudock is the editor of Esper. He's the chief executive. He runs this operation, and for the most part, he is an individual who I like to describe as cannot handle other people's opinion. Because he is notoriously known for blocking Any individual that has even one bit of disagreement,
Wow.
even one, even if you respectfully disagree,
Hmm.
he has had a pattern of blocking and a pattern of silencing anybody that does not agree with what he has to say. Let me give you an example from one of the users. So I can't give these people's names away. I'm not going to, again, we're going to keep it private, but this was a response from a user who got blocked by this man. He puts, "This guy is dumb. He blocks everyone who disagrees with him. He saw that I wrote, the Apple Pencil is a kind of product only Apple can pull off. And he wrote that. And when I respectfully disagreed with him, he blocked me right away. I think," and then he put his friend in there, "saw this when this happened." And this is what he wrote. This was a response when David Rudock wrote something about how the Apple Pencil is a product that, only Apple could pull off. He wrote, "I mean, the Apple Pencil is great, but it's not one of those products experiences only Apple could pull off. I appreciate good technologies, but I hate when people overhype Apple products and ignore other products, even if they are better in many areas." I don't see anything wrong with that. I didn't see anything where he told David that he was wrong. He didn't say anything that would prompt him to get blocked. Another individual was blocked by him just because he said something that had an effect on something he wrote. And I have to ask this man, this David Rudock, at one point does you're a chief executive officer. You're the chief executive officer of a news publishing firm. Isn't the point of having an opinion-based article is it's in its first words opinion? And when someone gives their opinion, you can't handle what they say? How is that? And I'm not saying that that's unfair or fair, but it's hypocritical that you can allow your editors, people, authors write their opinions that are based on what they think. But if somebody disagrees or has some kind of common ground but can't really find the ground and just wants to express another alternative side, you want to silence them and then block them? I don't agree with that. That's my first thing. I don't agree with that.
I think a couple things could be happening there. Number one, it could be just insecurity, right? Like just as from like a personality type of thing. All right. It could just
Mm-hmm.
be insecurity. If it's not that, it could be that those individuals who are symptomatic in that way have been told for a long time how terrific they are and how they're always right. Okay, so when you have a bunch of yes men around you, you start to think that you can do no wrong. Nobody's criticizing you, nobody's questioning you. And actually what ends up happening is you end up not doing as well. You don't reach your potential. Nobody's there to critique.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, critique can be good. If I never took the constructive criticisms of my peers and contemporaries, can I improve my podcast? Can I improve my video quality? Can I improve my writing? Can I improve my audio? If I didn't explore those things after being criticized, then my show would have been the same as it was from 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the trouble then becomes this. He's and anyone who does this, it creates an echo chamber
Mm-hmm.
where it's one angle, one perspective, and there's no dynamics. It becomes stale, it becomes boring, and it becomes incomplete because you don't have another side, you don't represent another viewpoint, and then it's an echo chamber, and
Mm-hmm.
that becomes like it devolves instead of evolving, it starts
Mm-hmm.
devolving, and now you're moving backwards. Now, if you choose to do that, if you choose to build your channel, build your content around an echo chamber, that's your decision.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to turn an entire half of the audience off. And then you've got situations like this where people start to acknowledge it, notice it, and then it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the forefront. Like, for example, with this live stream,
Yeah.
we're now it's very apparent. And look,
Mm-hmm.
Technoid, it's not just one person. That's
Mm-hmm.
cultural. That's
That's
and that
culture.
by the
Yeah.
way, and that can create toxic culture.
Yeah.
Toxic in the comment section,
Mm-hmm.
toxic in the live chat, toxic
Yeah.
on Twitter and social media. It's bound to happen.
It's a process where we live in this society where if you have an opinion that's different from another person and it doesn't meet what they think, you're automatically wrong. I'm not getting political here. I'm not trying to drag anything into this, but it's a fact. Nowadays, people can't have an opinion. But I find it weird that a man who can allow other people to post on his website, to post about anything that they want to write about, but when an audience member wants to respond and talk or have some kind of engagement, that you just shut them out. And that's what annoys me, especially coming from the chief executive officer. I'm sorry. That's something I don't agree with. But it's his company. He could do what he wants.
Yeah, and should they experience no growth, should they experience the phenomena of the echo chamber, they can't be
Mm-hmm.
surprised. I mean, unless they turn their eyes blind for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's blatantly obvious. When you see it.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're absolutely right. The next thing to talk about with toxic fan base. Now let's actually get to company fan bases. Let's
Oh
start
man.
with let's start with, and again, I'm not afraid. Let's start with Apple fans. Now, Apple fans religiously get attacked day in and day out. They get made a mockery every day. And I can't say it's not for any reason because they put it on full display. There are so many people out there, and we call them Apple sheeps, we call them Apple ambassadors, we call them whatever. But essentially they're just very passionate because they love the brand. But the problem is that level of love is not what you're showing. For example, there are tons of Apple people on YouTube. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that all of them are perfect. But there's one Apple YouTuber in particular who, for some reason, just cannot accept that Apple and Samsung and other companies can coexist because he thinks Apple does it perfectly. Now, unfortunately, I was looking for the user's name. I did not get his name, but I will post who that user is. It's a straight Apple YouTuber. It's a straight Apple YouTuber. You can't miss it. And it's annoying because you forget that it's not a matter of who's got what first. It's a matter of two companies and two ideas, two technologies being able to coexist and give a need and want to someone that is looking for something different. This individual, and I wish I had his name. I'm trying to find it. I cannot find it. I wish I had it. It continuously ignores the fact that, there's Android, they're doing things A, B, and C, but he'll continue to just keep on Apple and just continue to say how Apple is innovative in everything. And I disagree with that. Apple is innovative, but not in the way that you're preaching. And I think that's just a general summary of them being blind by their love of the company. Now, I could go in on detail on Apple, but a good example that I do have on hand for those people that follow Instagram. You ever seen those tech pages? They call themselves tech savvy or tech enthusiasts. In reality, those fan pages are just Apple fan pages. I personally believe if you're going to focus on one company, do not call yourself a tech enthusiast or a tech fanatic. Call yourself an Apple fanatic or an Apple enthusiast. Don't put the word tech in there or
For the
put
sake of
anything
accuracy, right?
for the sake of accuracy. Thank you. And I actually have the page. It's just a matter of whether I want to spill it on here because again, I'm not looking to send hate to any individual tonight. Epic 10 Tech 10. How can you call yourself a tech channel, daily technology updates, when all you post is iPhone after iPhone and maybe once in a while you'll throw in an Android, but you post nothing but Apple, and then you call yourself a daily tech enthusiast, then you post we were all wrong about the iPhone 14 Pro and why it'll be better than any Android to come? I'm sorry. Take your name, change it to Epic Apple Tech for the sake of what you're posting.
I mean, yeah, for the sake of accuracy, right?
That's one.
Yeah.
The next thing is now the Samsung fans. Now these guys.
The Samsung
Oh,
Knights, right?
the Samsung
The
Knights. But
Samsung,
you know
okay.
what, though? To their credit, I will say this. They don't go around provoking as much as we think they do. To give Samsung Knights themselves credit, they don't actually attack unless they're being attacked. So
Is
I'll
that
give
is
them
that
that.
right?
At least from what I'm seeing, because
Okay.
I've checked the several, but there are Samsung fans that do instigate. We can't ignore. But here's what I find funny about Samsung fans. You know your company's doing the same thing that Apple does, but rather than call them out on it, you'll follow them to the lines that they put you through because you think it's them being initiative. When in reality, they're making the moves because Apple did it first and they want to do it. Take, for example, the headphone jack. Remember when Samsung marketed, advertised, they still had the headphone jack? Remember how every Samsung fan said, yeah, man, we got the iPhone. You don't need an iPhone. We got a Samsung. We got a headphone jack. Samsung removes the headphone jack. Then Apple removes the charging brick in the box.
Yeah, yeah.
They complained, oh, we got a supercharger. Hell, they were actually talking about having a supercharger in the box.
For 1 year.
For 1 year,
For 1 year.
gone.
Snafu.
But then the thing that gets me is that when it doesn't go their way, then they'll turn on Samsung. The thing that I don't like about Samsung fans is the sarcasm and the extent of their sarcasm. If you make a joke about Bixby, if you make a joke about a Tab S7 or Tab S8, they will come back at you and literally make it personal. That's what I saw. There's one dude on Twitter, and I'm not going to call his name out, but you know who you are. You watch me. I know you watch me. You can't sit here with a straight face and tell me you could put Galaxy and Apple user in your bio when you're clearly one-sided. Take the Apple out of your bio and stick to Samsung.
Huh.
Because it baffles me that you could defend Samsung for everything, but when you put Apple in your bio, you make me automatically assume that you're going to give Apple a fair shot when all you've done is just continue to just be a Samsung Knight. So I think it comes down to labeling too. People really got to be careful how they word things. But then, of course, the last one is the Google fans or the Android fans. We basically summarize them as Android fans. These guys, and I'm sure you're probably in this category, but not in a bad way. Because Android fans know what they have is good. They know that they're miles ahead of Apple in terms of software performance. They know that they have exclusive features. They know they have access to things that Apple will never, ever. It's just, for me, the problem is what I don't like is that when Apple makes, because we know Apple is very, 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 very slow to getting features on iOS. Android fans will continue to notoriously just keep on stuffing and guffing and going in and out of this and that. And you know what I always love is that when Apple mainstreams something that Android have had for years and it gets notoriety, those Android fans get pissed off. It's probably justifiable though, because for years they've had it and nobody's talked about it. But I don't find going into every Apple thread and just trolling every post because Android has something that Apple will not. I
I
don't
think that
find that.
I think those people are just frustrated because, they've been screaming from the top of the mountain, "Hey, we've had this feature. This is not new to us. We've had
Yeah.
this for eons. We've had this for 1, 2, 3 generations of software. Apple gets it. Now you guys are saying that it's great and it's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic." And well, so maybe it's lack of recognition, maybe it's lack of acknowledgement, and it's just they're speaking from an angle of frustration possibly, and not being acknowledged for it. I don't know, but I will tell you that a lot of people don't know certain features exist until they get on an
Mm-hmm.
iPhone. So
There
like,
was one other I forgot to mention. There was one other user I did want to call out, but not for a bad reason. But Tech Talk TV. I don't know if you've heard of Tech Talk TV. He's an Android YouTuber, has 730,000 subscribers, makes some great videos, very newsworthy videos. But I got a problem with his approach. You see, I find it very funny that he likes to hype up Android and anything other than Apple. But when he covers Apple, you could tell he doesn't want to cover it. He feels like he's obligated to versus wanting to do it. Matter of fact, let's pull up his channel. You know what? Since we're gonna get called out tonight, since we're gonna get called out, let's show it anyway. Because why not? I often wonder what's gonna happen in the end, but we'll see by tomorrow. But Tech Talk TV, and I used to watch him all the time. I stopped watching him because, for me, it wasn't my float anymore. I like people that are fair. I don't ask for much, but I just ask if you could be fair. And I'll explain why I say that. But take a look at his channel here for a second. If you look at his channel, all he does is cover every single Samsung, every single Android device on the market, mostly just Samsung. You could really see the influence in his posts. And the thing that I love, if you want to zoom in, I wish I could zoom in on Chrome, but whenever he covers an iPhone, LOL, look at this. But when he goes to a Galaxy,
He puts LOL.
wow, wow, look at that difference. Samsung apologized. This is incredible.
Well,
iPhone 14, this
do
is
you
weird.
so Technoid, do you think it's a situation where he bought like an iPhone 4S back in the day and it was a piece of junk, and
I
now
have
he's like,
no idea.
now he feels like, he everything's the worst from Apple? You think he had a bad experience with Apple?
I don't know, but I can tell you that.
Or do you think it's this? And I think this could be the case for some of these people. They've created a lane of video types of videos and content that has given their channel accelerated growth, and
Mhm.
they've gotten into that lane and they've widened it and they've deepened it, and they're just like pedal to the metal. They're going to go with that, and they're going to go hard, and it boils down to this, Mike. I It's only entertainment. Maybe that's how they're looking at it. How do I ruffle feathers? How do I engage? How do I get people angry? How do I get people emotionally invested? Because that gets them to come back and watch more. Maybe that's how
I
they're seeing
I
it. I don't
hope
know.
so.
You know,
I
like
really
Connor,
hope so.
like think about Conor McGregor, right? Like it's all a show. It's all an
Well,
act.
unfortunately, he can't back it up. We all
But
know
but
that
that
now.
that but that I mean, at the end of the day, it's the entertainment piece. That's it. Engage, right?
I'm sure there is an entertainment aspect, but at some point you have to be fair. And this is where I'm going to end it because then you got to go to your show because we're running out of time. I always tell people you can never be unbiased. There's no matter how bias free you want to be in anything, in reviewing, in coverage, in anything, you're never going to be unbiased. You're always going to have that bias in you. However, what you can be is fair. That's all you can be. You don't have to go on one side. You don't have to go on the other side. Meet in the middle and just be fair. Be open-minded. Don't be so closed-minded to just continue to shut things out. Don't continue to just try to create a whole approach based on what you think is the way to go. Take, for example, tech reviews. MKBHD videos talks about a Galaxy Android device. The moment one or two things don't go his way, right back over to Apple and everybody gets mad. But what people fail to realize is in those one to two things, he's pointing out some very key highlights that the company have not addressed. Then take, for example, Unbox Therapy, who I think has gone far down the rabbit hole because he used to be a guy that was so into the tech world that he was all about passion, the love, the dedication. Then once he started getting the funds in for bigger, better projects, which hey, congrats to him, the passion, the fire, the love was gone. And people have been noticing it for a couple of years now. They're like, Lou, you don't sound the same anymore. You sound like you're just doing
Well,
it because you're getting.
Lou's very rich.
That's what they're saying. They don't feel like he's doing it because he wants to do it. They feel like he's just doing it because he'll get that money. Which, you know what? If you get that bag, good for you, man.
Yeah,
Make your money, get that dog.
the
But it
bag
comes
does
at a
change.
cost.
The
It
bag does
comes at a
change
cost.
things. It does.
The bag
Uh,
does change.
but but here's what I was gonna say. Take a guy like MKBHD. Very few people cover angles like as many features on a device as he does, because again, he gets the devices first. The companies give him the device and say, "Here are these features. Highlight them. Make sure you highlight them and test
Hmm.
them.
And he don't
You
want
get
to
to
do that.
keep
He
the
wants to be
device. Here's
fair.
payment for covering it." Right. So when I watch MKBHD, which is not often, but if I do watch his videos, I'm gonna look at his overview of a feature or features.
Hmm.
I don't much have to hear his opinion about the feature.
Hmm.
I don't need to hear his evaluation about the feature. I do kind of listen to see if he feels the feature is effectively functioning as designed. Like, so say there's like a photography feature. He takes
Hmm.
like 10 stunning photos with it, shows very specifically, here's how this feature works. Here's this picture without the feature enabled.
Hmm.
Here's the picture quality with the feature enabled. Here's the difference. And then he goes on and evaluates it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think he does a really good job at that.
Me too. Yeah.
I don't need his review of a device
Hmm.
because that would be my job,
Yeah.
my evaluation of a device if it deserves my money, right? Because I can't have these guys making my purchase decisions.
Yeah. You got to be
They're
the
not
judge.
controlling my pockets and they're not telling me what I like and what I need.
Yeah.
But
You're right. You're absolutely.
unfortunately, those guys are very influential and some people are very easily influenced and then they'll
Hmm.
make purchasing decisions based on their evaluations
I hear you.
in
I
some
understand
strange like
completely. Yeah.
mind manipulation type way. Hey, MKBHD approved. Yeah, let's buy it. Must be good or
I
must be bad. Stay away.
That's and then that's the one thing I wish we had more time because there's more details we could go into, and I didn't even get to talk about cellular fanboys and fan bases because we've seen how big those can get in your side of the neck of the woods. I would love to continue this conversation in your neck of the woods one day if we were ever to come back. If we were ever to come back to this. I would like to try to dive into that area, the cellular fan base, because we've seen Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T. We've seen these three bases of fans, and they've all shown their true colors, not just in their carrier's color. You know what I mean? But how can you approach this? We're gonna wrap it up now, but how can we approach things like this? So here's my recommendation. This is my personal opinion, and again, you don't have to agree. Number one, be objective. Do not hold a bias going into everything. Try to be open minded or be fair at the minimum. At the bare minimum, be fair. Number one. Number two, if you're going to be open with the discussion with another fan of any kind, Samsung, Apple, Google, OnePlus, Apple, whatever, just be civil. Don't try to go in there swinging for the fences because your company you think is better than the others. Try to find some common ground and then you build on there. That's how relationships are built. How do you think, for crying out loud, how do you think Sneed Bubble Tech and I got together? I was young, snippy, marky. I was burning bridges left, right, and center. And now look at me. I'm doing better, making better collaborations, making good partnerships, being more polite, not being a poster boy, but being more proficient in the way that I talk. Because I know how to better represent myself and the attitude and position, and how to better represent my character when I go on a podcast with him. So that's number two. Watch yourself. Number three, most importantly, you don't have to respond. You don't have to respond. If you know you're going to get into a fight, walk away. Just enjoy what you like. Just enjoy what you enjoy. But the last thing that I always say, if you know your company is doing something wrong and you know that everybody's calling them out but you, stop trying to make excuses. Try holding them accountable because you paid your money to be with that company you love. You paid your hard earned dollars on a product that they insured you based on marketing, promotions, whatever, that it's going to live up to your expectations. And if it doesn't, or it has something faulty, like the battery situation, when Apple was hiding the battery throttles, because they claimed they were doing it for A, B, and C. Apple fans stepped up and said, well, you should have gave us an option. You should have gave us a chance to see what's going on. And they did. Samsung got caught again. And Samsung fans are, in return, holding Samsung accountable. OnePlus fans held OnePlus accountable, not just for their battery issue, but for the way that they're approaching their company, the way they're handling their material. So if you know something is wrong, stop trying to go along with it and make excuses. Stop labeling yourself as a sheep or a knight or a fanboy. Just be fair, be open-minded, represent yourself the best way possible, be civil, and most importantly, when you know something's wrong, do not follow that company because they'll just continue to feed you the BS stuff that they send you. Hold them accountable and be part of the solution. What do you say? That's
I
all I
think
can say.
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, and you'll get more respect that way, right? Nobody is going to accuse you of being something that you're not, as long as you call a spade, and
Mm-hmm.
you shoot straight. You know.
That's it, yeah. And listen, this is just part of an ongoing thing. This issue is going to be around forever. We're never going to be able to solve it. But what we can do as individuals, as tech YouTubers, we could be respectful, we could be civil, we could be open minded. And that was my goal of tonight's show, not to just call people out, but to show these issues, bring them to light, and figure out ways that we could better ourselves. And I would love to continue this convo, Sneed, if you're willing to do a part two. Whenever you're
Yeah,
free, we could do a
definitely.
part two.
Maybe we could extend the invitation out to Tito.
We can extend it to Tito.
Yeah.
We can extend it to anybody that has something they would like to say. Because at the end of the day, you should feel safe in saying what you want to say. You should feel safe in regards to tech. You should be able to feel like you should be able to feel that you could just say what you like or what you don't like without getting trashed or spammed with non-stop buffoonery. That's my take. But there are some people that just don't hear that. So we have to evolve. We have to be better. We have to
Mhm.
move as people.
Right.
And again, this is all about tech. We're not talking about the real world. We're talking about tech, people.
That's
If
right.
you want to link it, if you want to link it to the real world, you can link that to the real world. But that's a fact.
I'm telling you, Technoid, it's only entertainment.
It's only entertainment. And that is it for our show. So we're going to end the show a little early tonight, but hopefully we will do a part two. We will definitely talk more. We'll now get to your neck of the woods, hopefully, if we get time. We can also bring Tito on, get you in, because Tito, you were a very solid, heavy fan base like person. So it would be great to hear how you were able to be in that fair category. And then if anybody else wants to come on, we can do it. And for anybody that I called out in regards to everything tonight, if you want to respond, if you have an opinion aside, I'm willing to hear it. I'm not here to shut you out. I'm not here to try to shut you down, try to make you a bad guy. If you got something to say, if you want to explain your position, you should be able to. And
Yeah,
you should.
that's right.
And that's all I'm saying. So anyway, guys, that is it for the show. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode tonight. It is very, very different. It is a very different show. I did not think I was going to be this serious in talking, but I promise, guys, we will definitely do a part two. So thank you guys for watching. Head on over to Sneed Mobile Tech. He will continue with his show. Make sure to follow up. I will. I wish, you know what? I'm going to post a link right now before we go. Sneed,
And
give a quick
before we
shout out.
go, and before we go, like this video if you're watching this on replay, or if you're watching in the live. Pop out of the chat, hit the like. First time here, subscribe, and then turn on the bell notifications to never miss these uploads. These absolutely tremendous videos from Technoid.
I appreciate the support. And guys, there was one last thing. We posted a link to your live stream. So everybody, before you make your way over, I want to say that during the next few weeks, I will be finishing up some reviews, making some videos, but I will be doing a fundraiser video. I noticed somebody was talking about it. I wanted to announce I will be doing a special fundraiser video, but it is a different video for, of course, the victims of the Ukrainian situation going on right now. We want to help give back. I do these every year. Last year I did Dustin Poirier's foundation, so this year we're going to shift it to the Ukraine because we don't want to sit idle by. I want to make a difference. So we'll be working. Hopefully, I'll be collaborating with actually fitness. We're going to be doing a fitness video. This is a very different video, but the money will be raised and sent to the Ukrainian Foundation, to any foundation that supports the Ukraine ongoing situation. And I just hope you guys could be a part of that. I will update you more on Twitter. So follow me at Technoid12 for more updates on that collaboration video. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Now let's head on over to the SMT.